We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Illegal immigration is the hottest topic gripping America and indeed the rest of the Western world this year. We're going to deep dive and go down some oft-ignored rabbit holes on today's special edition show. Welcome back to Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Angelides. This is our illegal immigration special edition. We're examining the issues, the questions, and the alleged imponderables. And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news, analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. With Joe Biden's talk of a booming economy, enabled and echoed by his friends in the left-leaning media, it seems a multitude of sins are covered by this optimism. From exploited illegal aliens to underage workers, there's a darkness in the labor market that, if it were properly exposed, would send chills down the spines of many. Now, someone who's been covering this topic extensively on the pages of LibertyNation.com is author and political columnist Joe Schaefer, who joins us for this special illegal immigration edition today. Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I just feel like this is such a particularly important topic, so I'm really happy to be here.
Well, you know, the generalized topic of illegal immigration, that is now number 2 in the United States as the most important issue, and also the issue that people are going to be voting on in the November 2024 election. Now, obviously, the economy is always number 1, but so much of the economy is tied in with practices and happenings that are taking place due to, through, because of, and in relation to illegal immigration. Now, let's start with an outline of, I guess, the topic that animates us both the most is child labor, illegal immigrant child labor in dangerous conditions. Can you give us an overview of what's been happening recently and what the trend is, please, Joe?
Sure. I've written about 4 or 5 articles, I think, in the past year about this, and I'm happy to see it being reported even by the mainstream big box media, which I'm, of course, highly critical of. But, you know, you can't really cover this up anymore. The latest article I had in NBC reported this to their credit. Let me look at my notes here. Over 800 child labor investigations in 47 states right now. That's what the federal government is doing. So this has exploded. We all
let's just make a point that that's what the federal government's doing. There's also state and local investigations. So it's not just there's 800 cases. There's exponentially more happening.
Correct.
Sorry, carry on.
Correct. And, you know, there's no mystery why it's happening. You've got this surge of unaccompanied minors coming to the United States, and now we have this surge of child labor, most of them coming from Central America. Gee, this is a real difficult puzzle to put together. Illegal immigration is driving this, and the employers know, in my opinion, if you read the articles, and we'll get into that, know what they are doing. And to me, the big scandal is the federal government talks a good game about their investigations, and it's just a slap on the wrist when they actually come to disciplining them. No, there's no chance of jail time. The fines are absolutely minimal. When I wrote about the most recent case, 16-year-old Guatemalan boy, 16 years old.
Duvan Perez.
He had in Mississippi chicken poultry processing plant. He had an ID that said he was 32 years old. And there are pictures of the lad. It's not even close. It's not even close. So they know this is fraudulent. They know he's from Central America. We've had a local reporter down in Mississippi saying these companies specifically recruit people in Central America. So they know they're getting illegal aliens, and they know that there's no way this kid was 32 years old. So again, they know what they're doing. The company involved, Marjack, over $354 million in annual revenues last year. They were fined $200,000 for the death of a child. That's less than 1% of their annual revenues. This is not a deterrent to stop this. And so it's not going to stop. It's just going to continue, because why should they stop? It's deliberate. And you know, we really need laws. There are actions on the state and the federal level to actually have prison time for these violations. And to me, until that happens, nothing is going to change. It's just going to keep exploding. And of course, the calamity on the southern border is contributing to it mightily.
So there's if we just talk tangentially about the political aspect of this tragic death, Duvin Perez, 16 years old. You have one side of the political aisle in the United States bemoaning the open borders that lets people through without proper checks, without knowing who they are. You have the other side that's clearly advocating for open borders, a come one, come all mentality. And yet the side that's advocating for open borders, they're criticizing big business for exploiting workers. But if the borders were closed, they wouldn't be able to exploit these people who are willing to hire 16-year-old children and younger, I might add, for dangerous jobs that could end in injury or even death, as has happened on numerous occasions. But it seems that they're completely at odds with each other, both sides of the aisle. But if one side had what the other side wanted, the other side wouldn't get what that side didn't want them to have. And so if they were, do you see, there wouldn't be the exploitation if there wasn't the flow of illegal immigrants. And so
yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
it's like you'd think on this one thing, it's like that they could perhaps come together. We don't want exploitation of people. Okay, and this side doesn't want open borders. So if we stop the border, then you won't have either one. You won't have the open borders, and you won't have the exploitation. And it really makes it sound hollow. You know, when we often hear, if it saves just one life, well, one life could have been saved, couldn't it? Duvin Perez. Now, let's talk about Duvin Perez. Now, clearly, he looked like a kid, as you pointed out. And the idea that anyone could seriously judge him to be in his 30s, it's ridiculous. There are photos online. So he was using not a fake ID, but someone's actual ID with a social security number. And this angle's rarely explored. It's like, are people letting others use their identification? Are they being sold or rented out? Or were they stolen?
Apparently, a lot of them are being stolen. According to reports, there were at least 3, and I think it was more, people living in the town with a poultry plant saying their identities were stolen and used for people who were working at this poultry plant. So,
I mean, that's not a hard crime to figure out, right? So your ID is being stolen, okay. And then where is it being used? Well, it's being used here by this person. It's quite easy. You know, it doesn't take, we don't need Columbo on this one or Angela Lansbury. We don't need them to come in and solve this particular crime because, you know, they're registering their social security numbers with the things. But you and I would be investigated for using somebody else's ID. But there must be literally hundreds of thousands of illegal workers in the United States, at least. And they're all using some kind of ID. This is like an invasion of privacy, an ID catastrophe on an unheard scale. Yet we hear crickets about that aspect of it. Why is that?
well, you know, it's what they say about Joe Biden. We don't need to pass more laws to secure the border. It's already illegal to cross into this country. They just don't want to enforce the law. And so based on I've really dug into this over the past year. It seems on all sides, they don't want to enforce the law. You talked about those two sides. Well, you know, they do. Maybe they both want the same things. They want open borders.
That was my implication. Yeah,
the people who want to change our society. They see a value in bringing all these foreigners into our country, and the people running these plants making a lot of money. They love the cheap labor. So we're there's this left-right divide, and these people are on opposite sides. Well, they're really not on opposite sides to a great extent. And, you know, we're seeing this in the Senate immigration bill right now, where you have these Republicans like James Langford in Oklahoma, Tom Tillis, who I've written about extensively. He owes his entire political career to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which loves cheap illegal alien labor. These people are acting like, we have to give amnesty. We have to let a certain amount of foreign workers in, and then we can secure the border. No, you can secure the border right now. You don't have to pass a single law. They don't want to do it. The federal government, with these slaps on the wrist, when a 16-year-old boy is sucked into a machine and killed, and they're only fined $200,000, and they bring in $354 million revenue. What message are they sending? keep doing it. Go ahead and keep doing it. And I've written about this so many times. They're not even hiding it anymore. There is I've written about the dairy industry, which is very corrupt in this issue. They intentionally hire illegal aliens. They don't even hide it. A very wealthy dairy farmer in Wisconsin came out and said, every time an American worker quits, I hire a Mexican. And he was bragging about it, because of course he's happy about it. They'll work for cheap. They won't complain, and they'll do all the hard work that there is to do. If you want to stop this for the American people, if you don't want this to continue, we have to start asking ourselves some serious questions about the very nature of agriculture in this country today. And, you should have John Clark, our colleague, on it because he knows about it so much more than I do. But we've turned agriculture, we've turned food into a factory job. And it's really not really, food is what's meant to sustain life. So when we talk about this illegal immigration, the consequences, it impacts every single American in ways that they should know. This company is hiring a 16-year-old with an ID saying he's 32. They really don't care that he gets maimed on the job. And you're trusting them to process the food that you eat, that goes into your body. Why should they have any more regard for us? And when they have this callous disregard for their own workers, and it's all in the name of profit. It's because food is like a widget nowadays. And I just really think the American consumer needs to ask themselves some tough questions. It can be about ideology, but it can just be about your own health. We have an obesity crisis. We have autoimmune disease crisis at the same time that this illegal alien workforce has taken over agriculture. Is there really no connection? The timeline is identical. So, these are the tough questions I really truly believe the American people need to ask themselves. What are you spending your money on when you purchase food?
And Joe, that is a series of great questions. Hopefully we'll address a few of them when we come back after this short break. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at libertynation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are libertynation.com.